it is a really high quality experience. You know, it's not about individual subjects where you can say, oh, such and such is a bad thing to study. Within any subject, there is a variation in outcomes between different universities. And so if you take something like computer science, for example, you know, really important subject, really important for the future of the economy, but there's a huge variation in what people end up earning if they've done a computer science degree, done from like £80,000 to £18,000. So it's about identifying individual courses, and it's not for government ministers to say which they are. We've got an independent regulator, the Office for Students, who will look at things like dropout rates and the proportion of graduates that go into graduate employment to make sure that if it's a really underperforming course, it can't recruit more people onto that course. Not about closing down courses that are currently running, it's about saying you can't recruit more people onto them.
OK, but I'm struggling to see kind of how this would work. I mean, I don't know what the employment prospects or the economic benefits are from somebody studying, I don't know, ancient history or ancient Greek or medieval poetry. I mean, you could argue that those are kind of less relevant in today's society, and that maybe some of the stuff that you'd like to close down is more relevant.
No, so it's not, look, it's not just about what's relevant to the economy. You know, education is important for lots and lots of reasons, and people's earnings is only one of those reasons. Actually, you know, the joy of learning is important, and having a society which is educated across a wide range of disciplines is important. And all those subjects that you mentioned, they all play a really important part. And there are, by the way, I mean, there are natural differences in, you know, if you study particular types of degree, then overall people will earn more, and in some others they might earn less. But that's not to say one is better than the other. You need to look within those groups to say, you know, let's say you take your ancient history. If there is an ancient history course where there's a lot of people not even completing the first year, or not moving on from the first year to the second year, then that would be a bad sign. So it's not necessarily about just what people earn, or indeed exactly what job they go into. It's about a range, a blend, if you like, of quality measures about whether young people are really being given a good deal and offered real quality on that course.
OK, so the plan would be to close down those courses and fund instead up to 100,000 extra apprenticeships every year. But while you've been in government, over the last 6 years, the number of apprenticeships has fallen by 160,000. So your record on apprenticeships doesn't look great.
No, look, the number of apprenticeships now is much higher than it was when the Labour Party were last in government. But
OK, but
anyway,
it's much lower than it was.
It
was much lower now than it was a couple of years ago when you were in government.
I'm coming on to that. That is because those few years ago, we have been making a big upgrade in the quality and the quality bar for apprenticeships through multiple different things, like making sure there's a minimum length of the course, legislating to make sure that at least 20% of it is off the job training. We've created the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical Education, and we've replaced the old what we call apprenticeship frameworks. We've replaced those with apprenticeship standards, which are designed by businesses themselves to make sure that what young people are learning about is bang on relevant to the job that they will go on to do and the needs of that company, the needs of the economy. So it's absolutely not comparing like for like to talk about apprenticeships now versus 10 years ago. OK, well, let's see. But now we've made that. This is the really important point about this morning. Now we've made that big quality upgrade. We want to grow that number of apprenticeships now by 100,000. The Labour policy would halve the number of apprenticeships. We want to grow them and widen that opportunity.
UCAS, who look after the admissions process, aren't convinced by the way you've been running apprenticeships, though. They say that young people are being put off at the moment by barriers that include low pay, lack of availability, having to apply for apprenticeships individually rather than sending off one application to several employers, like you might apply to several universities at the same time. Again, your record on apprenticeships wouldn't seem to suggest that you've got a way of tackling this going forward, some would say.
Look, and one of the things we're doing is we're going to be putting apprenticeships onto UCAS. So there is that equal visibility for young people against university degrees. We're also reducing the amount of bureaucracy. The number of degree apprenticeships has been growing, and there's huge opportunities for apprenticeships in the public sector. So, for example, in the NHS long-term plan, that anticipates a big growth in the number of people coming into nursing through an apprenticeship funded route. Ditto, in education. We have opportunities for teaching assistants to access apprenticeship funding in order to develop their careers towards becoming a teacher. So there are huge opportunities. We have very, very clear and firm plans for how we